This is the Original Copy Podcast. If this is your first time stopping by, thanks for stopping by. Go ahead and give us a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel. What's going on, Sam?
You know that one gorilla versus 100 men.
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting idea. Makes me wonder, is that something that, because Mr. Beast said that, I don't know if it was jokingly, but I know he said he was thinking about doing something like that.
I saw that. Part of me thinks he's definitely not joking.
Yeah, because you have to say it's a fake gorilla so that people don't freak out about killing Harambe.
They'll probably
again.
get a real gorilla.
No, they will. But like, how do you sign up to
No,
possibly
you're right.
die?
There's 100% going to be somebody in a gorilla suit somewhere in that video.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Like if they did that, that'd be kind of funny. But I started thinking about it. Like that could be the next level of entertainment. Obviously, I've always used a funny, like, would you rather with people that I become friends with. And it's like, would you rather every time you get in your car, you have to fight a chicken? Or would you rather fight an orangutan once a year, but you get a sword? And somebody, yeah, I know, right? But for me,
orangutan,
I'm like,
for sure.
I would do chickens because it's just like you just get in your car and you know how to kill it and you just throw it out the window and you keep going. But an orangutan?
No, but do you know when the orangutan is coming, or do you just all year?
So you get to prepare for it all year, but you just get a sword.
But you're getting jumped by this orangutan.
No. So you get put in a cage with an orangutan.
So
but you have a sword.
If I get like any heads up with the orangutan and I'm given a sword, I'm taking the orangutan.
That's crazy.
100%.
Those things are so strong and they're huge.
Yeah, it probably is bigger than I think. But like
if he gets a hold of you.
Yeah, but dude, a sword, like you just chop their head off.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? Like you're not immune to that. I don't care what kind of animal you are.
So I should preface, it's not like a ninja sword that's like a super sharp katana.
Okay, now we're making rules up.
It's like a giant, not a giant sword, but it's like one of those like forged in fire swords type thing.
Like a katana?
No, not a katana. It's just like a dual blade sword. Like it's sharp.
Okay.
It's sharp, but it's not like a ninja. Slice your arm off in one try, because anyone would choose that. They would just,
that's what I want.
It's not a lightsaber,
right?
But like
easy.
the 100 men versus one gorilla, I was like, how long do you think that would take, or do you think it would even be possible?
Man, because people have to wait their turn, like the 100 men girl.
Dude, mindset would be crazy.
But how many people do you think could fight the gorilla at once, or how many people do you think the gorilla could fight at once?
So I think there's two levels you look at this. If you had 100 guys who were like, I'm ready to die, and they all had a plan of like, I'm bait, and I know that I'm bait, and I could possibly die right now to distract. So if you
be ready.
If you have a mindset going in, I think you're not going to lose that many people, because the gorilla is going to be, there's going to be too much going on for the gorilla. Like, I don't know how a gorilla would react, but then imagine you just got 100 random guys.
You think he'd just get like overwhelmed and like shut down?
Yeah, because I think think about if it was you, right? Like your body would freak out.
Oh yeah.
But I think the gorilla would expend a lot of energy just freaking out and being like, what's going on? But I think people are thinking, oh, Planet of the Apes gorilla, which, it's not going to happen.
Aren't they all like that though?
No, in the sense,
like a real gorilla is pretty much like that.
No, I'm saying like the gorilla doesn't know what's about to happen. He's not just like, oh, I've been training for a year doing my push-ups and climbing my trees to get ready for this fight.
True. It's not like a soldier gorilla. It's just a gorilla.
But like if you had
still 100, a gorilla though.
Yeah, if you had 100 random dudes just dropped in and one random gorilla, I don't think they have a chance, because they'd all freak out, because your mindset is.
Do they have weapons, or they're just fists?
Just
right?
fists and strangulation. Yeah, because imagine you see a dude get ripped apart in front of you. No one's fighting. Like at that point, they all just chicken out. So you'd have to. There has to be some like ground rules.
Yeah,
set.
It definitely gets to a point where like we realize not everybody can fight the gorilla. Yeah. So then we're like all in this crowd, and we're almost like pushing people in to fight the gorilla. Yeah. And that's a mess. So he would slowly pick us all off one by one.
Unless he got too tired, which I heard some biologists started talking about this, and they were like, the gorilla's going to gas out really fast. Maybe. But it's like, at what point does the gorilla just say, well, I'm just going to go to a whole nother level and just start throwing people, holding on to people? And
well, see, the issue also is like, that gorilla hits you, it's going to hurt. But you throw a punch at a gorilla as hard as you can, I don't really think he's going to feel it that much.
Yeah, 800 pounds.
Let alone actually damage him.
Yeah, because the one thing for me is like the eyes, but then the whole point is they have like fangs and like big old teeth. It's not like they don't have
like a vampire gorilla.
Yeah, it's not like they don't have anything there. It's like their bite force is insane.
Oh, I'm sure.
So that would be.
Yeah.
Humans just are so fragile.
I'm not ready for that. I'm not signing up for that.
I forget who's.
I'd rather fight the orangutan for sure.
Who's that world's strongest man?
One-on-one.
The not Brian Shaw, but the other one, Eddie Hall.
Yeah, Eddie Hall.
He said that in his prime, he could probably take it one-on-one.
Yeah.
I'm like, no shot.
That guy though.
No shot.
I mean,
But the gorilla all just has to just hit you back, and you're flying. Like, there's no shot.
I feel like if somebody his size knew how to submit somebody really well, like then maybe he had a shot. But you're not just gonna box this thing.
You know, what'd be really interesting. 1v1, but you have a 9mm with one round.
So like a duel.
So it's like you only have one opportunity to use it.
One chance.
One chance. It's like an Eminem song.
Okay, so that's tough because it's like, all right, so imagine you're just like, what, 10 paces that way. I'm 10 paces this way.
Yeah.
And it's like the shot timer goes off and we just like, do you immediately shoot? No.
No.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
You'd wait. So it's
Yeah.
like, then it's this Mexican standoff and like, dude.
You'd have to wait because for me, if it's a 9, you only have a certain amount of inches on a gorilla's face. Because if you shoot it, you're gonna damage it, but it's gonna get pissed off. So it's like you have to aim for the head, but like eye type thing.
You know what I think the strat is to take a bullet, make them take a bad shot. Because you could take one shot of 9mm and then get your chance to end them.
Yeah.
100%. But that's a risky thing, and you better have some medical situation on hand.
Getting shot with stuff.
Yeah, a duel would be awful. But it's pretty badass that you could like settle shit that way.
Yeah, it used to be the only way to do it.
Just go like, hey, dude, we're going to do it this way. You know, winner takes all, whatever it is. We're fighting over this property, something.
It's the ultimate game of chicken.
Yeah, it is.
Because it was like the biggest ego flex. Because everyone in their own head was the best shot since this side of the Mississippi. So it was almost like I get to prove to you. It's almost like two dudes fighting in front of their girlfriends, trying to like show off like, oh, who's going to win the fight. It's basically that. But then it sets in that one person just died. But like at the end of the day, do they die immediately? Because ball ammo back then, that wouldn't really kill you instantly. I feel like it would be a long, painful death.
I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Because of a headshot, obviously, but like, imagine getting shot in the stomach, and then like you technically lost, but you're just dying. Like,
I mean, yeah, that's rough. You're just gonna be in the street. They're gonna be like, we'll clean them up tomorrow.
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah, that's 100% rough.
Who
was that? Who was that dude? That dude. Who was the? It was what? Andrew Jackson was in a duel. Or no. Was it Hamilton?
Yeah, it was Hamilton and Bacon?
Aaron Burr.
Something like that. They made a freaking musical about it.
Right.
Didn't really pay attention to that.
Yeah, I didn't watch that. I'm sure it was a big deal and all, but I know it was. But yeah, like I don't know what that was about, but like, dude, that's the freaking president. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just different world back then.
Imagine just being able to challenge the president to a duel.
Yeah, that is wild. Because I do know in Texas, like currently, you know, there's mutual combat.
Yep.
There's mutual combat in a lot of places.
Don't you have to notify the police or something?
Not necessarily. I'm pretty sure as long as both parties are in agreement. But the tricky thing might be like a dispute over, you know, how that started. If there's no officers around or witnesses, so it gets tricky. But I think it is legal to just go, hey, we're gonna fight, and you fight. Yeah, even in the street, like it happens.
But the whole point is you can't fight to the death or try to injure somebody beyond just defeat. So it's like if you just were boxing and somebody falls, then that person would have to admit defeat. Like you'd have to have ground rules for mutual combat, just like the UFC. Like the mutual agreement is if I tap, I lose, you win. It's not like I tap, you break my arm, break my neck until I die.
Yeah.
So there have to be ground rules.
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I feel like especially if it just remains like no weapons, like just hands, you know.
Yeah, like no kicking when you're on the ground.
The big thing is I know this happens all the time on like 6th Street in Austin and like, you know, like downtown Dallas. Like
wouldn't be surprised.
it does happen, and like a lot of the times the cops are there and they let them fight and they're just like whatever, but it is tricky if they're not around. But it's just like I think in that case it's like we don't want to deal with this. This is a better way to solve it.
Yeah.
These drunk assholes will take it out on each other. Both learn their lesson or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, that'd be dueling is a weird thing to.
You were so you were briefly talking about Mr. Beast for a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So what if that became the new thing? Because you know Mr. Beast has like escalated his whole thing.
Oh yeah.
A bunch, and it's like, you know, what's next? You know, he's got an Amazon show. What's next, right?
Yeah.
What if the next thing was like a Mr. Beast, like almost like an amusement park sort of thing, but really the thing is like you pay for a ticket to be, it's like an experience to go be in a Mr. Beast video, just like you could go watch the taping of SNL or different things like that. But it's this extravagant thing where there's prizes. You could win a chance to be a super contestant or like, but it becomes this game show, and it's also like Big Brother. I mean, because that's kind of how it is anyway on a lot of stuff.
The fact that you're saying this, a lot of big YouTubers are now doing this. So Dude Perfect just started doing their own like trick shotters, like the famous trick shotters.
Oh, really?
They're having them do competitions to see who's like the best, and they're gonna start doing it every year. I think Mr. Beast is gonna do something like The Price is Right or those Wheel of Fortune type things. I think he's gonna have a bunch of small versions of that. And like, you know how they have online state casinos?
Yeah.
It's gonna be something like that, to where it's like there's so many competitions that you can try to sign up for and win prizes, but then they take the winner of that. All the winners go and compete against themselves, because that's the only way for him to make a TV show is you have to have constant flow of like entertainment.
Well, and it also works out super well for him because he can be involved. It's like, I feel like the brand risk for him is detaching himself. Like if he replaced himself with somebody else,
Yeah, wouldn't that?
that would be bad. It's like the fall of Mr. Beast. It's all gone. Okay, over. But if he remains partially attached in the way that he can have a bunch of people, hire as many people as he wants, do everything, but just be the face. And it's like, if he had a Big Brother situation, but like to the max, it's like a whole island of like, you know, 10,000 people are out there, whatever. But he's not active all the time. He shows up for his little 5 minutes, but then when he walks out into it, it's like he's doing things. It's like, oh, Mr. Beast is here. So he gets in there, does some things, big deal. Easy money for him.
Yeah, and then I mean, definitely a network thing for sure, because you have like the show Survivor,
Right? I was
Big
just
Brother,
that.
like you were thinking, like 100% that they're. It's almost like he's gonna take all these genres. You have like Bear Grylls, and then you have like a dating island, like the most extreme of like every aspect of like game show or whatever show, like Jersey Shore. Like, I think he's just gonna create a kind of like Amazon streaming services, like a platform for like YouTubers or content creators to take their content and then put it over there. The reason I say this is Dude Perfect is also doing that.
Yeah.
So Mark Rober, How Ridiculous, there's one other channel, but the Dude Perfect has an app, and then all those creators can put their videos onto that app and be a part of that organization.
Those guys know how to build a company and a brand and a business. Like they're on fire, honestly.
And they're making an amusement park.
Yeah, right.
Which
they do
I think
crazy
is
stuff.
going to be in Dallas.
Yeah, well, their headquarters was in Plano. I'm pretty sure.
Plano or Frisco, I think.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, but I think they're building this giant arena type thing where people can go and do their own trick shots, and which is gonna be cool for like kids because it's a cool summer thing, definitely. But like you were saying, the Mr. Beast thing, he has so many angles that he can go to as long as he keeps his face like he can't like the only way he would be able, like for instance, Mark Cuban used to be the face of Dallas Mavericks, right?
Yeah.
And then when he sold it, it kind of just like turned into something different. So
yeah, it's different.
I could see Mr. Beast having to hold on to that and then being like the Willy Wonka thing to where it's like, oh, I get to meet Mr. Beast because he's like, he can separate himself from the videos and not be in as many, but then he's still like the important guy, like
because it's like, oh man, it's so smart because he's almost doing the thing that Elon, and he looks up to Elon. He says it too, but the way that Elon was able to be the people's champ through memes and stuff like that, Mr. Beast is able to be the people's champ by being the accessible billionaire. Like he can be the Jeff Bezos that like you can actually, you know, whatever, right? So there's power in that, and he's super international, like crazy international.
Do you think that so you know how like you can create a private or a public company to generate funds? Do you think he does something like that to generate funds to then go and do a bunch of stuff? Because he puts all of his money into videos, right?
I feel like he's smart enough to be straight privately funded, and he'd probably rather be that way because he doesn't want people publicly evaluating his assets.
So he just brings in investors and just. I guess that makes sense. So. That would make sense, yeah. Because he does have Feastables. Do you think he does anything else besides that?
I'm sure he does. I mean, I really don't know what he all has, but I'm sure he has some other stuff.
Like future thing. Do you think he has anything that
he's working on? Yeah, I don't know. Because, like, I mean, what would it even be? I feel like he's already done the food space, so he'll probably expand that a little bit. But it's still going to be the Feastables brand, most likely.
Yeah, clothing he's already done. I can't really think of... It has to be a video game.
Yeah, I was thinking electronic something.
Yeah, it has technology. To be. And that's when the whole GTA 5 thing comes in. Is there going to be a bunch of worlds with, like, you can go participate? Anyway, that's a whole...
Dude, I love it,
The whole thing. Like,
love to see it. Oh, man. And it's crazy because... Here's the thing, and this is already a thing with like VR chat and whatever, but like as that gets more advanced, it's like all these people that are like watching streamers at home, it's like, no, and just like you could maybe play with a streamer and get lucky. It's like, no, you could literally just be in the world, and it's just like we were saying, Mr. Beast comes through, they have that same situation. So yeah, exactly like that.
And I think, I mean, a lot of it could turn into pay to play. Like if you really 100%. Want to be in a video or something.
Steak, come on.
Yeah, he'd just be like, hey, here's this money. Or he could also start, because it's easier to fund more money, is just crowdfunding stuff. So like, hey, we're putting on video game tournaments and you have to pay $5 to play, and then that's the prize money. Or like he could do so many things that he doesn't have to put all of his money into it. And just kind of let everyone else put their money into it, because his platform's a thing that everyone wants to use.
Yeah, I'm sure. Side note, though, do you think GTA will, like, legitimately have gambling in the casinos?
Yeah, because it's crypto. Like, it's not regulated, 100%.
Is that already confirmed, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's what Aiden Ross was talking about.
I mean, yeah, like, people are saying that, but I don't know if Rockstar's, like, confirmed it. That's what I'm saying. On any official level.
No.
Because I'm sure people will do whatever they're going to do.
So it's going to be like the mod. Stuff. Like, is it... No, not Garrett. The mod that...
Yeah,
people are gonna mod the game and then I don't think
the RP stuff.
Yeah, so I don't think GTA, like, it's gonna take a while. I think the game's gonna be out for a year and a half, couple of years, 2 years maybe, and then the mods they're gonna allow people to mod the game, and then it's gonna turn into like a Roblox type of thing where it just grows, and then everyone just kind of leaves the game behind and then creates this own thing in it. So it's like you're going into the dark web of GTA, and then
it's a crazy, scary place. It's almost like when the internet first came around, people weren't ready for like internet scams and stuff like that. But it's like it's worse than that now.
Yeah.
It's like
kids take their parents' credit cards. And
well, see, that's what I'm getting at. Is like, and we talk about GTA a lot. We have on episodes, but I'm gonna continue to
everything
talk about
links into this. It's not just
there's
like,
a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
So the little kid that's just like getting his mom's credit card, putting it on the thing, punching it in there, and then is like, using that money as currency in the game somehow in one of these servers, and then, joining gangs and robbing other people and doing all this whatever, and then getting robbed, and then like all this whatever.
Yeah.
But growing up, like, I mean, legitimately robbing somebody for money.
Yeah.
Through this video game, sure, but like in a very aggressive, very like, you know what I mean? So just the effects of that. They said GTA was bad when I was a kid, dude.
It could actually train people. Not even, I guess,
100%.
Because
they're already doing
you're
that.
training the mindset of somebody to go and do that. That would be insane.
Dude, they're literally like teaching people how to slide on the ops, like in the games right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
rough. So the more advanced that gets, it's like, dudes, I mean, it's going to be like a super unpoliced state like nobody's ever seen, but it's virtual. So like, how do laws apply to that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To an extent.
And if that does succeed, I think the next big business opportunity for entrepreneurs is going to be like the internet cafes.
Yeah.
Because then you can go and play with all your buddies, and you already know we're going to go, the game's already downloaded, my account is on the cloud, so I don't have to play from my hard drive. I can just like load in,
right?
Because the internet cafe takes care of all that, like I don't know what the word's called, but like the transfer of the cloud from my, like I can play wherever.
Okay, so then hear me out. A whole city at least of all of the buildings. Okay, so everybody's job besides maintenance people, which maybe maintenance is robots at this point.
Oh,
but
it has to be, yeah.
literally everybody's job is in this virtual world. They plug in, they literally like, Neuralinks just plug it straight into the matrix. And they're in this virtual place where they go to work and do everything in that virtual world.
Yeah.
But then they need real world stuff. You need a break from that. You need to whatever. So there's like pretty much the only places you would go is like, real world stuff stops being valuable. You don't go shopping for like things like you would, but you go eat, you go like maybe exercise, go do some stuff like that, go see the world, but it's very minimalist. But all the buildings are basically a hotel, pod, internet cafe, all in one.
Yeah.
And like everybody's just renting these, and you just go to these pods and plug in. And it's like that's all you need.
Yeah, but then it's like, do people then use that to try to get back into the real world? Because it's like if that becomes a source of monetary value, then everyone becomes tied to that online, and it's like, okay, can you make enough money to then get out? And then it's like matrix. A freaking like it's
that's
like a reverse
matrix.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Because then people, like you were saying, if everything becomes eat, sleep, you're in the game, and it's connected to your brain through Neuralink, then it's like, can you then get out of that? And then it's like, do you want to get out of it or not?
A lot of people wouldn't.
That can turn quick, really, really. That'd be weird.
Oh, that's terrible. That's actually like a really interesting point though, because like then somehow making enough virtual money to like literally be able to build. Because like, when there aren't things available all of a sudden like there are now, because not all the bottom feeders are living off that stuff, things will be very expensive in the real world.
Yeah. And I think that would, it's weird to think about, but there's going to be, that would create a class of people
Natural
of its own.
Separation.
Because you would have the people who live outside who are super wealthy, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have the people who live in this world trying to grind so that way they can get out. But then you have the people who are so poor they can't even afford to get into that world.
And they're like in the slums of it. But then you've got people that are maybe from that class or from some of the other ones, but they're going to live outside of this whole system and really use the deepest depths of that ecosystem that's going to fester and exist and continue to grow to like come up with some very clever things that people at the surface level don't know about, are not ready for, just like the deep web now. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it could be, it'd be really weird to think about. This was just random, but okay. So you know how you are in control of your own social media, your taxes, your money, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. What if scams got so bad and just being on the internet was too dangerous? Like you were going to get preyed on, and you're just not responsible enough. You don't know enough strats to not fall into these predators like grass. What if you had to pay a group to so somebody who manages your money nowadays, just a financial advisor, what if you paid somebody to watch over all of your stuff that when you're in that realm, so that way you don't get taken advantage of? So it's like a whole nother
guardian
aspect.
angel service.
Basically like, hey, we're going to make sure that you don't get robbed in here.
But that's an insurance scam.
100%. 100%. But that's what's going to happen. It's going to be all these different levels of
I love it and I hate it.
You get into this to make money, but then you need to buy this thing in there, this service to protect your money because you're trying to get out of this, but you're fueling yourself to stay in it with this insurance thing. It's like, that would be crazy.
I feel like the best thing to do is to just get a head start on the Matrix. Because if you have real world assets before the Matrix exists, once it starts to diminish, your assets will increase in value. You can secure your place at the top.
Yeah.
Or at least outside the Matrix, or being dependent on it.
Yeah. So. And then, it'd be crazy too, because then everybody's house, they'd have dedicated, basically giant parts of their house or rooms are going to be giant servers and giant areas where the family, because like you said, the internet cafes, hotels, but some people are going to be able to afford a house, but they have to go into these rooms to participate. So it's like, people have a lot of unused rooms now. I feel like half of somebody's house is going to be internet servers, hard drives, all these things. So that way you can put yourself in that world, or you go and do the internet cafe thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky to predict 100%, but like it's gonna be a scary place, but it's gonna be a really cool place. It's gonna be a fun place, but wild. It's like the Wild West again, but in a completely different way.
Yeah.
But yeah. I wanted to pull up something on my phone real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. Just give me a second here.
There are a couple of things that I do want to talk about that happened in the past.
I just want to show this video real quick, and I was gonna just pull it up on the monitor, but I think I'll just put it up on the screen so that we can hear the audio.
Yeah.
I'll just play it off my phone. This is the best thing. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. Just go ahead and watch that for me. This is great right here.
There's a little monkey that they're filling in words for, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It like keeps going.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, keep it going.
This is the next form of entertainment. Is just putting words in
good.
freaking animals. What the heck?
This one right here is called a tree knot. Give me 1 second. They're a pain to open up. You gotta open it. Get the part off. That part's not good. Then you gotta just open.
This is all one take.
Right.
That's impressive.
And it keeps going.
That's so funny. Not the size that you feel it. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's so good.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that because that was one of the best things I saw in a minute.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, we'll put that on the screen for y'all. That was
100%.
That's just some dude who's like, I wonder if he found those clips or if he like was there, because like that's impressive to find all that footage.
Yeah, it's like, how do you source something like that?
Yeah,
That
like,
was good.
How do you find and befriend monkeys? But
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Very creative. Too.
So something I wanted to bring up that happened was
Dun-dun.
so I mean, see how to pronounce her name, but it was Virginia Giuffre, somebody who came out against Epstein and was like one of the highest people trying to get like all the names released and stuff.
Okay.
So she was involved in like the court filings and stuff. Apparently she committed suicide.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah. So somebody who was very like for trying to get all this Epstein stuff released, and now like that person obviously had a lot of knowledge of the situation, and then she quote unquote commits suicide, which is a interesting thing because Epstein commits suicide and then this person commits suicide, and it's like,
It's contagious.
remember how people said, oh, they're going to release the names and the documents and stuff?
Yeah.
We still don't have anything. And it's all blackmail. Like those people,
Yeah.
they realize that, oh, they're being serious. They're going to release the names. And then it just is nowhere now. Everyone's just being blackmailed.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever get it.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, after
It's probably been destroyed. The whole list. I don't even know.
Yeah, because now for me, it's like you just have to tie off all the loose ends and just
Yeah.
delete the files. And at some point, that person could have been. That's just an example. If anything, now you're just gonna scare all these people and be like, "Hey, we'll kill you if you talk," you know. And that's the crazy thing.
Yeah, it's like unfortunate, but like, I mean, what is anybody gonna do? It's like, you know what I mean? You see somebody die, you go, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you can know who did it. It doesn't matter. It's like if the mob killed somebody, it's like you're not doing anything.
Yeah. But I think it's the biggest like confirmation. If we don't get anything within this year about him,
Yeah.
it's like we're never going to get it. Like people are going to realize like, oh, there's some deep state people that don't want this information to get out, whether it's our country or another country, or if it's people that are high ranking officials. Like to me, it doesn't look like anything's going to come out.
I just don't even know what to think about it. But randomly, I'm just thinking about JD Vance going to visit the Pope and then the Pope dying.
7 hours later. Yeah, everyone was
what
like,
luck, dude.
everyone was showing him shaking his hand, and they're like, he poisoned him.
Yeah, right. Of course.
Yeah, that'd be first of all, the dumbest thing.
Yeah, what?
Like,
He's going to be the assassin?
Yeah, he's the guy that's going to do it. Like, no, but he was
He's
also,
deep MI6 or something.
Yeah.
Double.
And I think we have next, did we even talk about the Pope dying?
No,
I don't
we
think
didn't.
So the
Yeah.
Pope died, if y'all
Yeah,
didn't
he
know. But it's also weird because I think this week is when they're going to start the conclave.
Wasn't he like the first Hispanic Pope?
He was from Argentina, so I think
Yeah.
so. But yeah, I think they're starting conclave, which is the process that they're trying to get
Selection.
a new pope or whatever. So, you know what's really interesting?
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was spot on. How they released a movie about not even a year ago about conclave,
Yeah, exactly.
and how they're trying to, educate everybody about what's conclave, and then the Pope dies, and so now everyone's gonna go watch their movie about how is the process of the Pope. And now, and then the Pope dies. Like, I'm just like, oh, that's very.
Do you think they made Oppenheimer because they're gonna drop bombs soon? People are like, this is what these are. Bombs.
I think if they're gonna do something like that, they're gonna take it to, because that technology's old.
It is.
But it's like if they come out with another movie that's very much like Oppenheimer, but it's like anti-gravity, then 100%. Yeah, because they're trying to get people comfortable. Like they did it with the UFOs. They did it with.
All right. Big theory.
Yeah.
Wild conspiracy theory. What if nukes don't exist?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot, and it's like a fool's errand in the sense of like, what if nobody got the technology, or what if the United States was the only one that actually had the technology, and nobody else had it, and so they just kind of were like, okay, we'll just get rid of it and pretend that we still have them, because it could be like one of the, like a shot in the dark of like it worked 2 times, and then it will, because we've never had another one since then. I'm pretty sure we've never had another tactical nuke fired.
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, it's just the 2, really.
Yeah, well, obviously, because they've done testing. Like, there's obviously test sites for them, but like, we haven't had a test. I don't think anyone's done a test in a while.
Is it odd that like Area 51 is like a nuclear test site? And sure, it's off limits, right? And there's a bunch of other areas too. Sure, they're off limits, but it's not like Chernobyl.
Dude, you know what's a big brain idea? This is like so big brain. Okay, Area 50, they used to, Nevada desert and New Mexico, I think, is where they used to drop the bombs at, right?
Yeah.
Like test sites. What if they did that on purpose, knowing that nuclear energy was going to be the thing of the future? So they nuked that site so that way there'd be radioactive material. So it'd give them an excuse to do nuclear research there, because nobody would question anything nuclear going on there because it was previously used as a nuclear site. So they could
Are you talking about, you're talking about Area 51?
Yeah,
and
so
stuff?
like if they're actually there trying to harness nuclear power, but they were using nuclear explosions as a cover for nuclear, because like, no one's going to go there because it's hazardous.
Right.
So it's like if you then disguise your
Did
actual
they need
research.
to disguise that? I mean, nuclear power is much better than nuclear bombs.
No, but I'm saying like, what if you were trying to harness a nuke and then it exploded in the middle of the United States and you have a giant bomb go off and everyone's like, where'd that come from? But it's like if you get the people comfortable with nuke testing, and then if something did happen, like a nuclear explosion, they'd be like, oh, it was just a nuke that went off in a test site. Like they wouldn't question it.
I'm not getting it. So like, yeah, okay, a nuke goes off and they tell them, hey, a nuke just went off. What is the other thing that actually happened? Like a nuke went off, right?
No, technically, I'm saying like if they're trying to harness nuclear energy, in the sense of like like a generator that's a nuclear generator that
Like you're saying nuke is one half of the equation. They shoot the nuke and then they harness the explosion
no,
somehow.
no. Okay, so you know a submarine is a nuclear submarine and it runs off of nuclear power.
Yeah.
So I'm saying if they were trying to advance that type of energy that runs like a submarine or something.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
That they used,
if something like that had a malfunction and blew up,
then they could just label it as, oh, we were testing a nuke, because that's easy. Because imagine if you told somebody, hey, we weren't able to control this nuke and it accidentally went off. Nobody would trust the government. But it's like,
let's be real. A nuke is just a delivery system for an atomic explosion.
Correct.
And so if you could do that in a number of ways. You might be able to get this like little laser gun. It just shoots a little pinpoint laser or something, and that spot in space just, has that explosion happen, or whatever.
Yeah.
Those atoms just nucleify.
But I mean, I think all that, I'm starting to think a lot of that's happening. I think a lot of it's going to start happening in space, like testing and stuff like that. I think a lot of big testing.
Why don't they? Well, I don't know if we should just fire nukes into space.
No.
I'm surprised nobody has.
Yeah. I'm just, that one asteroid that's going to hit, they're just going to launch a nuke at it. That's going to be interesting.
That'd be cool.
Hopefully it would be cool, but not damage us in any way.
Yeah. Well, but they always need that little hero story of like, oh, an asteroid almost hit us, but thanks to science.
Yeah. True.
But my point about the nukes originally like not being real is like, no, what if like there's never been a nuke created whatsoever? It's all fake because a lot of the footage, like there's definitely a clip that I saw on Joe Rogan that was like it's the nuclear test footage that they showed. It's like the official nuclear test footage.
Camera,
right, with exactly what happened to the camera. And you can see there's editing in some of the shots, but it's the ultimate threat to say we have this like God power basically, and it's like, oh, this is the edge of development where we can get that. It's in fact probably the nuke, which has held us in this like we almost have like a lot of the 1950s type of like infrastructure that hold us back that we're attached to, that like the nuke is the thing that like cemented us from adapting that and moving on. But yeah, like what if the nukes don't exist at all and it's fabricated footage? I'm not saying explosions don't exist, but like exactly how that works and what they're showing, I'm not sure. If 9/11 was an inside job, the what could have happened in Hiroshima or Nagasaki, I don't know. Something similar but like completely different.
Yeah. There's also an idea I just had. Okay, so California has all those warnings, like the cancer warnings.
What, just like on
like so everything in California. Everything in California they have to label as like, oh, may cause cancer.
Oh, okay.
So I just did I was like, oh, I wonder where the wind blows out of Nevada. And it blows west into California. So what if the reason that they say everything's cancerous is because the nuclear fallout from them testing in Nevada was like sending wind was sending it.
Where does smog come from?
Yeah, because people always talk about, oh, if we have a nuclear war, there's going to be nuclear fallout. How come we've never experienced nuclear fallout even though they were testing nuclear weapons? Or have we experienced it this whole time, but they were lying about it in California?
But they're trying to say it's climate change.
And they're trying to say, oh, it's all these things that could cause cancer, but what if it's just the nuclear site blowing all that fallout over to California and just frying everybody there?
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, wait a minute, like that actually, because think about it, all you have to do is label something and use an excuse like climate change or global warming or whatever. You could use any excuse for anything happening to anybody and not give them the right reason, which apparently a lot of people are gullible to.
Yeah.
So that, I could.
Okay, and then I don't know if you remember that thing that happened in was that Springfield? No, that wasn't Springfield.
The train derailing?
Yeah. The train derailing thing that
wasn't it in like Indiana or like Illinois?
I want to say it was Illinois, but I'm thinking like because I know Springfield, Illinois. There was no way it was that. It was like Ohio, maybe. Yeah, it was Ohio.
Ohio, that's right. That was in Trump's first term, I think, right? Or
no, Biden for sure.
Biden's? Okay.
It was like right after Biden won the election.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was like, that train spill and it was like all this toxic stuff and like, just like how they still have not gotten to Flint, Michigan, and like the water's still like super toxic and not healthy to drink. There's still stuff going on there and nobody talks about that. And it makes me wonder, like, what is the purpose of that sort of thing? Like, cause to me, that seems intentional.
Yeah. I mean, if you can poison because think about it, they need a sample size. And if they want, so the war games is a huge thing where it's like, we do a bunch of simulations to see who's going to win, right? Between us and China. That's all that matters. So it's like at some point, if you have a chemical weapon you're ready to use or some sort of nuclear weapon you want to use on another country, you have to see the effects and how it's going to affect your people, but also their people. But you need a big sample size. You can't just put one person in a room, fry him, and say that's going to happen to everybody. So it's like if you do stuff that's accidents and then you let a giant group of people experience it, you can track them over a 30-year period or 20-year period. And then you have really good data for your war games. And you can say, oh, this is going to happen or this isn't going to happen.
I also want to throw this out there. So in science, you learn like, if you're testing something, you don't want any other variables changed. You want it all constant other than the one variable you're trying to test. So what is a variable other than like if you let people know that they're part of an experiment, that affects the experiment immediately. Yeah. So if there's any real scientists out there, they're not going to let the people in the experiment know.
Yeah, 100%. But I think, it's been happening with everything. I don't even think it's just like nuclear fallout or the waste we're talking about. I think it's every aspect. They're just trying to see.
There's like, they talk about how, and it's, there's files to prove this now, but, basically the government gave syphilis to like communities of black people without their knowledge, like, I don't know, in the 20s or somewhere around there. And it's like, oh, now that comes out and they sort of admit to it and whatever, but it's in the past and whatever, we're better now. But that they always do that. They use that excuse, but it's like 50 years too late, every time. And what are you going to do? Like 50 years is too long when your lifetime is, for most people, not even 100 years. So,
yeah. And it also could be like some form of like ethnical cleansing. Like it could be people that are like, oh, let's target this group of people or this subset of people who think this way, but we don't like the way they think and they're going to get in the way. So if we target them, who cares what happens to them? We'll just test it on them. Like it could be something like that. But then it's like people who are rich and famous live in LA. And then it's like, would they really do that to themselves? Or is it just a big group of people who's like, who cares? I don't know. That's like a hard one for me.
Okay. If you were like, the super elite, whatever, top 1% of the world, and like you basically felt like you were God because you had ascended so high above all other humans and you have this huge, crazy God complex, you would invent your own reality 100% and your own religion to accompany. You'd be a big cult leader, basically, just making this stuff up. It would be like Scientology, but to the max. But because you think that you're God and you've figured out how to ascend, you almost like set up the world as a game for the people that are smart enough or follow the right things. It's just like getting into heaven. It's like if you do the right things and do all this and know how to avoid this and blah 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 blah. Like it's not easy to just get into heaven. Like, you know what I mean? Your whole life is there to mess you up, so to speak, basically. But the he could basically be waiting for people to make their way through the game, have them ascend, do whatever. But that's not real ascension anyway. It's like this corrupt king world that we live in that we don't know that we live in. We're just like super far at the bottom.
Yeah.
But it is still set up like a matrix where there's like traps and little things all over the place, and it's intentionally built that way for you to navigate and prove how smart you are to be selected to ascend.
Yeah, that would be.
And that's maybe where people go, oh, you sold your soul. You got the ascension ticket. You got whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be. Yeah, I mean, that'd be so much going on at one time.
It's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but like they put it right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I wouldn't want a ticket to that reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What else is going on?
So I started thinking, on the topic of like top secret stuff. So, me and you are big proponents that we think that people release movies and stories and stuff to get people used to or familiar with different aspects of our life. Do you think that the Bourne Identity trilogy, do you think there's actually a level of soldiers that they're trying to use chemical enhancements to enhance them that's like eventually once they harness it, they're kind of like, I'm not sure if they would give it to everybody or if they would only want a certain subset of soldiers to have it. But do you think they're doing that?
I think they're doing it, and it's not a new thing either. Like, you talk about like Nazis on meth and stuff like that. That's like early examples of it too. Yeah, I think they're probably working on like the Captain America situation, like whatever that is. But definitely like steroids, like stimulants. I don't even know. Like, and there are drugs for sure that are, as a operator or military personnel, you may or may not have access to, that nobody else has access to, basically. And they do some superhuman things, like make your body heal itself, very rapidly, but they're combat stimulants is what they are.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how far they are past that. Like if they have some big machine to do anything or whatever, but like chemicals and stuff, that's easy, Like they've definitely got something. I don't know if it's good for you, but
yeah. Because I started thinking like the whole premise of like Bourne Identity is like there's like a whole nother level of assassin. Like because you have like, in my opinion, you have 3 levels of assassin. You have like the whole Trump thing, right?
Amateur.
The amateur, you kind of need a fallout person. You send them out there, false promises, kind of like Suicide Bomber, right? It's like you're promising them all this stuff, but you know that it's like that Family Guy episode where he's like, what do I do? And he's like, yeah, you just walk in and you press the button. He goes, okay, and I leave the vest there. He goes, no, you're wearing the vest. And it's like that amateur thing. So it's like you're just trying to get the dumb person to go do something dumb. Mm-hmm. But then you have the next level, which is like, okay, they've been trained. What?
I just picture that in my head. It's so funny.
Oh yeah, it's a funny scene if y'all haven't seen it. But then you get the person who's trained, like a trained assassin, right? Who's like, they know their mark, they know what to do. But then you have that third level where it's like the person,
he's Jason Bourne.
The person doesn't exist, but they're an assassin. Right. Like there's no record of them. Their mission is like only known by like a couple people, and it's like that person has no identity. They're just normal life. Like you wouldn't know. And they're so good at their job that they're just a ninja. They're just a ghost. But I think that they have so many of those people. And then you start thinking about, okay, where's the training center for those people? And that's a whole movie in its own. Making a movie, that'd be a cool movie about like
the Kingsman.
Basically, but like something you could make it more like John Wicky type thing. But
John Wicky.
It just that would be crazy just to like that reality. Because imagine like you're just a regular Navy SEAL and someone approaches you,
dude. Well, all right. So there's already like I mean, what's like the top we know of
Delta.
Out of like exactly like the publicly known most you can get is Delta. But after that, it's like all this like it's blacklist stuff that you just don't know about. But I'm sure it has a name. I'm sure it does have a training facility where like they recruitment, whatever it is. And
imagine if you're in Delta and you're having a team meeting
and then you get selected,
and then somebody walks into the room and you're like, who's this guy? And then they just say, everyone leave except for this one dude. Like that would be crazy because you can't talk. You can't. Nobody could say anything, and they all know that because they're all Delta operators. Like they all know, like whatever. I'm just here to get paid, and I'm really good at what I do. Like a lot of those, that there has to be some level of that.
But like the way that people talk about Delta is like boogeymen. Like you know what I mean? Like they are already operating on that level that we're talking about. I think there's stuff past that too. That's like that's where it's scary because it's not like a team of. It's a lone operator. 100%. He doesn't need anybody else. No communication.
Speaks every single language. Has a built-in AI, something that helps him solve every single problem on the dot. Like
there's some clip that I saw of like some assassin in some movie that I don't know what it is, but he's like on a boat in the ocean. He's got like this gimbal that he set up. He's sniping off of it, and it's like. Maybe not so extravagant, but like that type of like specialization and like just specific knowledge on how to do something, and then it's like very efficient. You know what I
and
mean?
he can't be tied to anything. So it's like you take him, you fingerprint him, you facial recognition, you're getting nothing. And it's like there's probably, because I don't know how many Delta members there are. There's probably only like 200. But like then you start thinking, okay, how many of these blacklist assassins the United States have? It's got to be less than 20. To where it's like
No. I think
because you have to keep it quiet. I feel like you have to less to keep it quiet.
oh, that's a
Or you do this reverse.
maybe 200. I think there's probably like there's maybe 1,000 people in Delta, and I think there's probably like 200 people that are like in this blacklist stuff. Would be my guess. I have no idea.
Yeah, and then but those blacklist people would be so deep in cover too. Like there'd probably be half that are like deep cover and half that are just regular, pretend to be tourists or whatever. But there has to be a bunch of deep cover that they're like,
dude. I think these guys though, it's like you're not. I mean, you might be in deep cover for a moment, but it's like you're so efficient and you're on a mission, and these missions are assassinations mostly, right? Like that's the work you do. So, I mean, you're probably in and out like Hitman.
But it's also, it's not even just assassination. Like we think of assassination as huge public figure, but these guys are probably like, okay, they're playing chess, and it's like they know 4 moves ahead. Like if I kill this guy, it prevents this from happening and this from happening.
Right. They're working on this technology, kill this guy, kill that guy. They're not going to invent it.
Yeah. And it's almost like, okay, I know that this power plant is important. So if I go kill the guy who works at the power plant, I can put my own guy in there to now run that power plant, because that's going to affect this. That's going to affect this guy not getting reelected. So it's like, I think that's the game that they play. Is they don't worry about, because like I was saying, there's like 3 levels of assassins. They let you go kill the important person. They leave that to level 2. It's like they can't risk being discovered because they're too valuable.
Right.
So
too much attention.
They have to go after the most strategic thing that nobody would ever guess it was them.
And nobody's paying attention to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think like things like Chernobyl like possibly could be intentional?
Yeah. I mean,
like a bunch of accidents that are just all over. Like I think wasn't that huge explosion in Lebanon an accident also?
Yeah. There's a lot of
that stuff.
People always, I mean, the one thing you'll always hear is, oh, weapons depot. They didn't know how to store their weapons. It just blew up. And that's such an easy thing. Because if the United States says it, like we didn't have anything to do with it, who are you going to argue with? So like that's the thing. Like if it's a different country, like for instance, if something happened in Iran and something blew up, all the United States could say is, oh, we'll talk to Israel. But if Israel wasn't involved in it at all, like something in like Greenland, something that Israel would have no idea being in, all the United States has to say is, oh, well, they had a weapons depot malfunction, it blew up, like we're gonna help give them aid. Like they'll just cover it instantly, even though it was one of their. Because think about it, like.
Yeah, they just handled something real quick, and then that's it.
Yeah, and all it takes is, and you've seen movies where people pretend to be scientists, they go in, they make something malfunction, and they get out. It's like you would never know that they're there. They had the perfect cover. That's what these guys are trained to do, is like get in, do something tiny that's going to affect a bunch of stuff, instead of we're going to put you on hot water, because like that's a waste of a talent, and you don't want someone like that to die. So it's like, but then like what's the training process look like for that? That must be like Dude, insane.
I feel like the thing is like even with some of those elite operator levels that you get to, you're in too deep already. You're playing the game.
Yeah.
You're not in control. You need to still be the best pawn or whatever piece you've been promoted to.
Yeah, true.
So like I think you need that to get the best. And there's a mysterious, like you don't know who the top people, like, and the higher up you get, the less you're gonna know exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that like that unknown fear is a big driver to perform, to stay on task, and like to not think about good or bad, because I don't know.
And it's also like those dudes probably don't get paid.
You don't think so?
I would say they get anything that they want, whatever.
They don't need to get paid.
Yeah, so it's like they have a car that whatever they need, they have, but like their family somehow gets set up. So it's like if if they said, hey,
They're
we'll
probably
give you
dead to their family.
Yeah, they could also say, hey, we'll make sure your family's taken care of and your grandchildren's grandchildren are taken care of. And we're going to fake your death, everything, like you're dead, like you don't exist. And then here's a credit card, or here's, that normal spy movie stuff where they have stacks of cash in every currency. Like it's something like that where they could have full access to whatever they need. They could buy a freaking yacht if they wanted to. Like they have all this access, but they don't have to worry about getting paid.
Well, imagine at such a high level, it's like, so we look at the map and go, there's all these borders. We know the politics of these, and that's what we think. But there's really the real reality of how things are.
Yeah.
And so if you're on that level, maybe you're exposed to some of that true reality. And it's like, hey, the world banking system is all tied together. It's all one system. It's already linked. And it's like, hey, we give you this thing. You can pretty much go to any ATM in any country and pull out money just by putting this thing in. Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to whatever. It's already invisible for you.
Yeah.
So like, that the access that you could have to be sustained for whatever you need, no matter what, forever, without any need for anybody else's assistance, it probably exists.
And I think those are the types of guys too who are like setting the fires that you see.
Oh yeah.
Or like anything that is like a natural accident that's not happening, not supposed to happen, but it seems so out of place. Like I think that's those guys doing something like the train derailing.
Right.
Like something like that. They didn't.
That's he pulled some switch or did something on purpose.
But is it even that, or did he plan that 2 months ahead so that his tracks are clear and he knew that something was going to happen in that train and he was going to whatever, and then that train derailed, but that person's out, like there's no tie back to them. And then the government can say, oh, it was a spill, but he knows that was 4 steps ahead of his plan because somebody told him this is going to affect this thing. And it's like, that has to be what those guys use for. And then it makes you think, those guys are so high up. Do they play sides? Right. Are they working for just one thing? Or is there like, is there 2 groups of them that are working against?
I mean, it's a risky situation too. Cause like, I don't know. I'm sure people have like, there's multiple, like factions going at it, but I think people are pretty loyal. At that. I mean, but at the same time, there's some people that it's like, if you get a certain offer, it's like, if you get contacted by the other team and it's a good offer, like
play the double agent. Yeah, 100%. Because then it's like, okay, each country then has their own, or not each country, because some countries just wouldn't, but like big countries, like Italy's probably got 1 person. Russia's probably got 10 people. China's probably got 40 people. It's like, we'll never know who it is. We'll never see anybody like that. But it's like stuff like 9/11. Like who's like, a lot of people think that there was bombs planted in the buildings.
100%.
So it's like, who's the person planting those bombs? Like, how do you have that much?
Well, just to touch on that, you know about the so like 1 or 2 weeks before the towers blew, there was a maintenance crew for the elevator shafts that were working on the building for like maybe a month, right?
Yeah.
And it was a brand new elevator company. The towers had, like, the entire lifetime of the towers, they had been serviced by one company. They'd always been. Yeah. And all of a sudden, a new company comes in that also did not exist too long ago. It seems to be relatively new, doesn't have too many other clients. And then they're working on this thing for 2 months, have full access to the elevators. They're shut down. Nobody else is going in there. Yeah. Nobody's worrying about them.
Then they what a good place to hide a bomb, because no one has access to an elevator shaft except those who understand elevators and how to get into them. Like, there's only a couple access points. One is through the actual elevator itself, like the car, like the elevator car, and then normally there's a door, like a service door at the bottom. And normally you just don't have no one just has a key to that.
Right.
And it's normally the elevator company. So what if, like you were saying, like, that's so strange how. But it has to be those teams.
I mean, people. Are you kidding me, dude? That's like, to me, that's irrefutable. And you can look all that stuff up.
Yeah. Because, I mean, people, if you don't know what we're talking about, whenever the plane hits and the way the building comes down, it's a controlled demolition. Like, buildings, that just doesn't happen.
It went boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, all the way down. And it's, yeah, I mean.
That's what the firefighter said.
Yeah. And then all the witnesses that saw a lot of them end up committing suicide and can't find them. So it's, at the end of the day, there has to be, because, I mean, people always say, well, somebody would have leaked something. It's like, not if you have a group of people that are like so far above that are trained. Like, why would they leak that? Like, if you have 5,000 people, sure, maybe somebody leaks it. But if you have 200, like we're talking about, those people all, like, they don't give, everyone's a number. They don't give a crap about the person. If they happen to shoot somebody because they're ruining their mission, they don't care. Like, they're all American psychos, just full psychopath narcissists that, like, they have been brainwashed and trained to do a specific job, and you have to do that job. And it's not even about a fear of death. It's I wonder what the manipulation or brain way, like, washing
There's some
would be.
delusion, yeah.
There has to be something.
They're holding on to something.
Yeah,
they
because
think they are.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know what that would be, but I 100% think those are the types of groups that do that. And then it's like, okay, did they? Because there's so many levels. We could just use 9/11 as the example. So it's like we were saying, the chess pieces is okay. They planted the bombs, and then it's like, obviously you're not going to find the bombs because they knew how to make them, right? So they're untraceable. But then they're the ones who probably got those terrorists who got, like, the Al Qaeda, whoever got on the plane. They're the ones who probably convinced those guys to get on the plane,
let them through,
and then they're the ones who planted all the evidence. Like, famously, there's a passport of one of the terrorists that was unsinged, unburned, that they recovered at the scene, apparently. Like, and that's handled by a different class, not those 200 guys we're talking about. But it's like,
how are you gonna get a whole body, like, and we can still identify him, but the whole plane is gone from the Pentagon.
yeah,
Just gone.
yeah. And people can see, that's a funny thing too. If y'all are curious about the whole Pentagon thing, I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah, a little bit.
But
dabbled.
But it's like, okay, the $3 trillion that, like, went missing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, okay, did they, obviously somebody ordered that strike. I think it was a bullet or a missile, but it's like somebody obviously ordered that strike. So it's like, okay, what level does that come from? Because if there's a missile flying through the air, you basically have to shut down all radar communication so that nobody can see that missile flying, because we have defense systems. And it's like, what happens if one of our defense systems gets tripped and shoots that down? Now, not even that is the mission failed, but all these countries now see our deterrence that we have, like our protective measures. So it's like all that would have had to be shut down, and then this missile would have had to been fired. And where'd that come from?
But then it's like they could try to shut it down as much as they want, but you still get people that's like, you know, you might have shut down like the ground, you know, radar or whatever, but there was one, you know, F-16 that just had radar and they caught something on there. They're like, that's weird, whatever. They called it in. They said, never mind that, blah, 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 blah. They said, okay.
Comms were down. We didn't hear you. What'd you say? Type thing. Yeah.
And then they keep bringing it up. They're getting weird responses, whatever. They're put on a list immediately. They're like, investigate, keep following, keep whatever. If they find out that they're like maybe doing something with that or curious or just looking into the wrong things now, it's like those people will just end up dead.
Yeah. Like that
years
person,
later.
Yeah, 100%. And then it's like, oh, you can't, like, that person was crazy. That must happen all the time in the military where somebody sees something. Okay, this is a touchy subject.
Sure.
And I not in no way, shape, or form am saying this is the reason for all of them. But, like, there's already a big crisis of people in the military taking their lives.
Yeah.
And there could be a multitude of reasons. But that's a very easy way for a group that we're talking about to get rid of people, is to link them in with people who actually have, like, mental so it's like they could link,
right.
They could any aspect of life, they can just use that as an excuse, like use suicide as an excuse for that person. And then the media just covers it up and says, oh, this person was dealing with this or this, and, like, you would never know. But, like, you like you're saying, if somebody saw that missile go, they would know exactly what plane that was because they have comms, right? They would have access to the comms. They'd find out who he is. They'd get rid of him, fire him, whatever, so that information doesn't come out.
And it's 3 trillion?
Yeah.
Okay. That money going missing and it just being on the same, like, it's 9/11. All this stuff happened on the same day. There was 3 hijackings, and
there was
4 technically,
4,
right?
Yeah. Well, according to the story, there's 4.
Watch any heist movie. There's a good distraction.
100. There has to be.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's rookie stuff right there.
Yeah.
But the
It's a shell
level of
game.
elaborate, that they're gonna reach, they could do whatever. We don't know what they're gonna do, but, like, what we've been able to see from like, an inside job through the, it's like, yeah, it sounds like a good heist movie because it's well thought out. Like,
Yeah.
it all makes sense. It's a perfect crime that we can't like track down anybody that's responsible for. Like, they got away with it right in front of us, but it's fishy, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of, and at the end of the day, what's the goal? Money. It's power, money, resources. Like,
but like to me, because it's like, okay,
oh, we're going deep in this hole, by the way.
people would say like, oh, the government, did this or whatever. It's like, dude, the government already controls everything. What is the government going to gain? Like, who's the government going to steal money from? They're already stealing it. Like, they'll steal it some other way without us noticing it, honestly. So it's not just like the government. It would be specific people that are trying to, it's almost like if you got like led into some like a frat or something, but then you were leeching off of like other people's stuff because of your association with whatever. It's like you're just now being a user and you're not really contributing to what everything's supposed to be about or whatever. I think it's just people taking advantage of stuff like that.
Yeah, but the money I think is being used, like it's so weird because if you think about it, the system has been made to make sure that you lose all your money because you have like something small. You have subscriptions, you have credit cards, you get bigger, you have debt, you get even bigger. Oh, college debt or Social Security or all these things that are used to take people's money away from them and promise that, oh, like for instance, the $3 trillion that's missing, that probably went to funding research, right? They're probably using that for weapons technology research or whatnot. And all they have to do is say, oh, we lost it. There's no accountability, whatnot. But then Social Security, what they start doing, they started taking loans out against Social Security. That's why it's a big scare that it's going to crash because they're taking bonds out against it. Okay, where's that money going? You could easily hide money, taking out money against this money and putting it towards this research. So at the end of the day, like the government is good at taking your money, but then also diverting your attention from where a majority of that money is going. Like, you can hold someone accountable. You can put a president in prison, but that's not going to solve the issue is like, where'd the money go? It's like the Epstein files. It's like, yeah, we know what happened, what he did, but you're never going to get the reason because they'll just hide it. Like, because death is a motivating factor. Like, all you have to do is just kill somebody. And
it's like, it's a cold case. What are you going to do? There's literally nobody to talk to about it. It's super easy, but it's crazy to me. It'd be great if like there was like real Scooby-Doo teams out there of like investigators like working on stuff like this, but I don't think that exists. I don't think there's really like
if they are,
because they're like out of their mind to be looking deep into that and really trying to do real world investigation into
it's
that.
also a death wish.
Exactly. Like
I mean,
but I wonder if somebody does it, and I wonder if they document it. You know what I mean?
So I started thinking about that. Like, okay, obviously we all have these shower thoughts, but if I had the desire to try to research that, you would have to be so careful and so diligent that like all of your notes are on paper. You're not taking any digital notes. You have a VPN. You have no electronics.
Like your carefulness will be noted and is a red flag as well. So then you got to be like, I don't even know.
But it'd be so hard to do research nowadays because all that group.
I wouldn't even trust a VPN.
Well, yeah, but like all that group has to do is put different keywords that trigger like, oh, we need to watch this person. And it's like, okay, whoever researches this thing will either like, they'll probably do something soft and easy, like, okay, crash their computer or go hack their computer, wipe it.
This is sort of like that gang stalking thing that I was talking about, where it's just like slight little contact just to scare you, get you off the thing, whatever, refocus. Yeah. But if you actually keep diving in, though, I bet you it turns into some serious contact or like manipulation or even just kidnapping.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you just get rid of the person, like, because they got too close. And then it's like the whole Trump shooter thing. You go wipe their apartment. You go make sure that they never existed. There's no trace of him anywhere. Like, and then cold case, it closes. You can't do anything about it. Like, it's...
Where's the documentary?
Yeah.
This is like one of the most historic events in all of U.S. history.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of people want to act like, oh, whatever, he got shot. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, that's huge.
Documentaries also, so is a great way to manipulate people's minds about history and how it happened.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
people view documentaries as unbiased. This is the way it is. This is what happened. And all you have to do is pay ABC, NBC, one of these big networks, Amazon, whatever it is, National Geographic, to go make a documentary about something. And then it's like, we're going to control, and because stories are made by visual representation also. So if you create a story and show people, they're going to remember those scenes and they're going to say, oh, that's what happened because I saw that, and that's fact because I saw it with my own eyes. So therefore, that's what happened. So all they have to do is release a documentary how they want it to, and then people will be like, oh, yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened with the whole JFK thing, where there's like a documentary or a movie or something that they made trying to disprove it or show what happened or whatever. That's all you have to do is just be like, oh, these are the facts. This is the case. It's like, is that all the facts?
Right.
And that's what people are like, oh, well, man, I was really thinking hard about that. And thanks for tying that knot for me. Now it's like they didn't give you everything.
But then do you feel like, and I don't know why the example that comes to my mind is Braveheart, but like do you think like a movie like that comes along every now and again is almost like, I don't know, sort of showing you a different version of things or like how things could be or what it is. Like it's not necessarily, you know, like this is the exact documentary of, you know, what's happening, but it's like, hey, here's what happens, you know, when people are like, you know, fighting over some stuff and there's, you know, sort of an uprising to, you know, to fight back, a resistance and all that, right? So
yeah, I think war movies are made particularly to get people to enlist in the army. Like,
you
I
think solely.
Like,
Well,
or else there would be more movies historically based.
there's a huge budget of the military that goes towards movies and propaganda. And in fact, like, of course, Top Gun and stuff like that. But pretty much any movie that, you know, if you're a Hollywood people with money and a studio and Hollywood connections, you can get, you know, the Navy or the Army or whoever you want really to be in your movies pretty much for free.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, the fact that you're contractually obligated to make them look good and to promote the military industrial complex in a positive way, make it appealing. But, you know, that even extends into video games, Call of Duty, other things like that. And yeah, that's crazy that that's just such a big, like, feeding pool of like, I don't know, it's bringing a lot of people in. Nobody's really like talking about how those things are bringing all these people in and the results of it. Like if you talk to a recruiter, it's like, you know, how many times have they heard Call of Duty in there probably, like, you know, or like,
or they use that excuse. Like it's just like Call of Duty.
Exactly. Or they're bringing it up because it's a thing, but they're using that as a tool regardless to like pull these people in that do, you know, connect with whatever media it is. It's crazy that they can even do that.
I think they're also trying to give assurance of like, this is what happened. Especially like we were talking about like the documentaries or something. They're trying to assure people of, oh, this is what happened. Or like the movies in the Army. It's like, oh, this is what will happen. It's trying to keep people calm and give assurance. And you see that with any type of movie. You're trying to paint a picture and control someone's mind. It's like a form of brainwashing to get people to be okay with something that happened. Because think about it. What if, you have it's all propaganda, but you have a movie, let's say it's like it did, like a fictitious movie, we'll make one up. Like, let's say they make a World War II movie and it paints us as like a really good, like we did everything really good, even though we did, let's say for instance, we did something really outrageous and egregious during World War II that like we just don't want anyone to know about. Or like if in Iraq we actually killed 10,000 innocent civilians, like they're not going to make a documentary or movie about that because it paints the Army in a bad light. It's like, oh, who wants to be a part of that? Or I can't believe we did that. So it's like they have to sugarcoat all these things, but it's all just propaganda at that point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Hollywood was started as propaganda, and you know, really propaganda comes from Germany, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you talked about this.
Well, I know I did talk about how like the uncle or somebody of the Netflix guy,
Yeah.
the guy that started Netflix, his great uncle was the founder of propaganda. But propaganda was basically, initially through posters and stuff, but like quickly transitioned to film. And it was basically the reason that film even became an industry. And Germany was huge in the propagation of propaganda.
Yeah.
And they built it up and did all this stuff. And so like Nazi propaganda was crazy and all this whatever, but like US propaganda during World War II was also crazy. And like, just the way they would sell stuff. And then even you look at like, I think I maybe talked about this before, maybe not, about how like cop training videos used to be like way different. They'd have like naked women in them and stuff. And it's like,
Really?
Yeah, they would. It's like they would make it like a 70s, like where he's got the mustache. He's like a big sexy cop and like, he's doing whatever. And then like, man, you're all right, whatever. And then they're doing all this corny stuff, but it's like this action macho whatever to appeal to these people, but it's their training material. So then, that also influences the outcome of like their attitude, their disposition on what it is. Because they're now applying that stuff they already saw. Yeah. They already saw a police officer. This is the model of what they're supposed to be, acting in a certain way. And then maybe their standards aren't even that high. They're like, oh, well, we have leeway. Well, I'm going to do that my way, whatever, right? So you can see how things can get out of hand. But propaganda is crazy. Yeah.
I have something else I wanted to talk about. Okay. So in the sense of, we're talking about direct energy weapons a couple times. Wanted to see your opinion. Do you think we have the ability to harness lightning to be able to use it as a direct energy weapon?
Yeah, 100%. We already do that. Like we have Tesla coils and stuff, right? So, you just need a focuser and a lot of coils and like, yeah, that's for sure got to be possible. Because
that's an easy way to like,
you don't even need to harness like lightning necessarily, but harness the technology of it, the power of it.
Yeah, because lightning's so fast that if you could focus it to attack something, all you do is blame it on a natural accident. So it's like it's the ultimate like get out of jail free card.
Oh yeah.
Is you strike something with enough lightning to damage. Because think about it, like you're not blowing a ship in half with lightning, but you could easily like fry a server. You could pinpoint it. Like you can get it super pinpoint. It doesn't have to be like a giant streak, but you could just claim, oh, it's just lightning. Sorry, natural accident. Sucks for you guys or something like that. Like
you ever seen something out of some sci-fi movie where it's like they shoot this like, it would be a laser if it was like long or whatever, but just a tiny little spurt of a laser. Like they just tapped it. And it's like very slow moving through space. And you're like, what's going on there? And then like hits the planet and the whole thing just goes. It's like, something on that level. Yeah, if you could focus like straight, just raw power. Yeah. Compress it. It's like, that could be some damage.
Yeah. And it also, that makes me go back to war games. Like I bet you part of our war games is like, they're doing the cloud seeding to make it rain and stuff. What if you just found out a way to cloud seed like during the winter time, so it's like snowing constantly on your enemy. So it's like they aren't able to like
Rush is immune.
Yeah, literally. But like imagine like that's stuff that like they're just gonna start using natural events and trying to harness like nature to like be a defense mechanism on stuff.
Do you think they create hurricanes? A lot of people say that. People saying that.
But how would you create a hurricane? It's wind.
If you concede clouds, so wind, that is interesting, but wind is just pressure when you think about it.
Yeah,
pressure is just temperature. You can affect temperature by a number of factors.
Because it has to be the seed, right? So it's like what's the probability of us being able, because it has to be in certain climates, right? You can't have a hurricane everywhere. I'm pretty sure all the hurricanes happen along the equator, like either above or below. Like they had a map that showed like where they're all at. So it's like, I guess they could make them, but like, why would you want to make them? I don't know. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
You gonna type it in?
Yeah, keep talking. Oh no, it's something slightly different.
Yeah, but like, I think the whole like point of the lightning strike is like that's something that we can harness, and we do know a lot about like how it's formed like in the air basically. But that would be interesting to like if they actually could pinpoint like, oh, strike this thing, strike this car, strike this person. What happened? Oh, I thought you.
It was just like super delayed. I wasn't typing on here. Sorry, not to cut you off.
No, you're good. But that would be like, I mean, there's so many like direct energy weapons, like so many sources. Like there's electricity, there's heat. I mean, wind. That'd be crazy thing to harness.
If they have that direct energy weapon, could that even be something that could like, cause rapid temperature change?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In a cold area specifically, whatever that is.
Because then the other thing too is like, okay, can we harness like something in the water to like sink ships? Like, what if you were able to create giant waves that capsized ships? Like, that'd be insane. The Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah. So, because this kind of makes sense to me because like, where do all the hurricanes come from?
Yeah.
Pretty much right there.
Yeah.
It's off limits. People just know, hey, crazy stuff happens. Weird magnetic stuff is going on. That's like some sort of like unnatural disruption, which could be coming from some sort of advanced, weather control machine or whatever it is, right? But so that's always been interesting to me, the Bermuda Triangle. I'm always curious what's going on there. But when it comes to like weather control, I'm like, if there is anything, that's where it is. And what a great place to put it, Yeah. So just thought I'd pull that up.
Yeah. I mean, you could, especially because going back to that topic we've talked about before, having like UFOs or having something underground, like some sort of base, that could be where it's housed. And you're just not telling anybody and it's perfectly hidden because you have, in a sense, a natural radar jammer that you've made so that no one can, like you said, like all the gauges and stuff are weird or like the magnetic pull, like you have something there to where people don't know what's happening.
Well, maybe you have a thing that puts out some sort of reading, and so you're jamming that with all that stuff, and then you're good. You covered your tracks. Anybody comes along, you can maybe detect them through some special thing that's not being jammed and track them while they can't track you, and then you guarantee that they get killed.
Yeah.
Or whatever happens.
When do you think something like that would start, like in history? Like, where do you?
Great question.
Because the only thing I could think of was like the Cold War.
Are we talking about like weather control?
Yeah. Because it's like you have Nazi Germany and the scientists, and it's like, what were they working on? What did he have them even working on? Like, there had to have been a lot of secret stuff, and then we bring their scientists here, and then do we have them start doing stuff in the 60s? Because 50 years is a long time. And it's like you could have a lot of people doing a lot of stuff in 50 years.
I think the 90s.
The 90s?
To be honest. Somewhere in there. Because I would say for sure, like since Katrina, and not that was in the 90s, but since Katrina, hurricanes have just been ramping up. Like the frequency of them, the magnitude of them. Right, and all this stuff. So I'm not saying Katrina was necessarily one, but I know that a lot of other storms and tropical storms and like I believe there's probably one at least, if there is weather control of the ones that we've been told about over the last like several years, that one of those is at least weather control. But like I think in the 90s they were probably working on the technology for it, if anything, if like that's when it started, sort of mid to early 2000s.
I mean, that would, because a lot of it's coming, and that's the thing, like a lot of, you'll see like Saudi Arabia, right? They're trying to do the whole cloud seeding because they're trying to grow a bunch of like forests and stuff in the desert. But it's like, there's no way that technology just hasn't been out. But maybe they're just allowing the public to now see that technology, but they're disguising it as like, oh, it's for good. Like we're just using it over here.
Well, it's like, it's a weird thing because like if you would have had this technology back in the day, you could have just said, oh, God did that, God, blah, blah, blah. But like when we could measure these statistics and it's like, I don't know, like unnatural stuff. You have to like almost say like, yeah, it's this big natural disaster. This is crazy. What's going on with this? Make it a whole thing instead of just like, oh, I don't know what's going on. You can't play it off if you are doing stuff. But a lot of people say and believe in weather control.
Yeah.
It's a interesting idea. I don't like 100% believe like, they're creating all these hurricanes and like causing that 100%. But I mean, they definitely play with stuff, and I think them playing with the atmosphere and just the habitat of the earth, it's like they're throwing things off they probably don't know at the least.
Yeah. It's so weird because there's like part of me, like going back to those 200 guys we were talking about, like that super black group, the blacklist group, or the unknowns, I guess you can call them. But like, are they just there to cause chaos? Like, is there just at the top, it's just like somebody just wants mass chaos? Because like their chaos, they can harness that chaos for their own control.
Well, that is something.
So like to us, it looks like chaos, but to them, it's like they know exactly what they're doing.
Well, that would be like getting into the realm of magic.
Or
you know
just,
what I mean?
or it's like somebody's had AI
Or
for
at least
a long
the spirit
time.
world or something.
Yeah, because it's like there has to be some form of, because a lot of it.
But it's like, what is that chaos that they would literally be harnessing? Like, what is that? That's some spiritual fippy dippy like magic. Like it gets into that realm 100%.
Yeah.
But that's just where like science starts to cross that barrier. Like, is that something? Is that not something? Like, we're just figuring out like what we can and can't do. What are really the limits? Like, they uploaded like a Bible verse to like DNA and then downloaded it and like do all this stuff, and they're like figuring out that we can figure out how to store data in our own DNA, so we can now program ourselves like and also like then decode that programming at a later date, and like just different things, right? So there's so much that's possible. Chaos, what is that? Like, I feel like we all could like get a sense of it. It feels like something. It's like chaos is like this heavy, like feels like just everything is off, right? Like it's this feeling that we get like when one small little domino starts, and maybe a couple small dominoes start, but it starts getting out of hand, and there's so much to go on that it's like this anxious feeling of so much being out of control. But it does like maybe that anxiety or something, whether it's brain waves that people are producing, right? Like you could say that fear is something that puts out like this strong, emitter, and some people could, like I know people talk about like adrenochrome and stuff like that, which is like this idea that, you scare people and their blood gets like, I don't know, hyperoxygenated or something, and now it becomes some drug, and like people take that to stay young or something. That's like the idea. But there's definitely the thing that like, even like a shark can smell your fear, and there's like you know what I mean? Like there's almost this invisible thing that's like, we don't really claim it because it's not tangible, but there's something there to be sensed, felt. And then maybe there is like, power there, just like there's 0-point technology floating in the air and Wi-Fi and stuff, but you have to be able to access it. Maybe fear, because it's so primal, is tapped into some sort of power. Is that crazy?
It'd be, because then you start thinking, I mean, my mind went to the exact place that your mind went to. It's like, what if your body gives off some sort of frequency, but it's like not a frequency that you can control, like tapping your finger or making a sound like a clap. What if it's something that your cells make, like a frequency that your body
radiates?
Like, you get like a shiver or something like that, right? Like, what if it's something like that, that it's like that frequency of you shivering, like that's like that could easily be.
Well, so it gets into some things, but like, people talk about aura. Aura is a big thing. People are just talking about aura like it's your clothes and your mood and your style for the day, but that's not really what's going on. Like aura is really supposed to be this like thing that you project out of you. Like everybody radiates this stuff, and that a lot of people think that's tuned to frequencies, and like you could raise that frequency or lower that frequency, and the higher you raise your frequency, the more it radiates, and that's a good positive thing. That's like, most spiritual people would agree with that as a base level. But I think it's like it goes back to that bubble.
Yep.
It goes right back to that bubble, but this is the real game. So it's like, you just you have your aura that's like perfectly contained, but it's like sealed. And then if you crack that seal somehow, you will bleed out your life energy. Like you literally will probably like, become less of you. Like you're just bleeding it off into the water. It's like a waste. It's like some Dragon Ball Z stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just going to waste. It's not like you're using any of that power. But it's like, so then the first thing you have to do is you crack the seal on this stuff. And then now you have to learn how to contain your own, frequencies or power or energy or whatever type of thing is radiating off of you. So you need to contain that so that you can, one, just not bleed off. It's better for your health, right? Like you can sustain yourself with your own life force and not just bleed it off and waste it. Then it becomes this thing after that point of, and I would say that whole first step is like almost like the bubble popping sort of thing we were talking about a couple episodes ago. But once you like can control your own like, and it's like this energy that you radiate, and you could suppress it yourself and sort of become undetectable to a certain extent, or you could like gas it up and become very detectable, very known, very like and people can read you so much better, get deep in there, but maybe that's what you want to do. So you need to learn how to know when to do both, fluctuate between both, and like how to do that. And so that's like a super crazy skill, but I call that the invisible game, because I think like that's the secret to like human life really is whether I'm not saying it's like you got your power level and you're I'm not saying any of that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is when you walk into a room, your presence, like being known in a certain aspect, you're sort of in control of to a degree, and you can sort of feel other people's presence in a room. And the more you try to read it, the better you can read it. The less you pay attention to it, you're not going to really be able to. And also, I'm not sure if you're really able to read, how much people are giving off or like the fine details of people's presence, if you're not really controlling your own. Like if you haven't like figured out those first two steps, maybe. So that's my 2 piece on that. Maybe that's a little fippy dippy, but I think that's something.
That'd be interesting because my mind went to like lie detector test type thing where they strap you up and they put stuff to monitor like how your body's reacting to something. But I mean, I'm not sure how you harness frequency, but like, what if they found some way to put like reflective shields or capture that frequency coming off of somebody? It would like be able to give you a full insight immediately into somebody, like how they're feeling, because you would just have equations for those frequencies. Like this frequency means this frequency means this, but it's also like the whole, like the aura thing you could say is also a frequency, because like you can use other frequencies to make people feel a certain way and exude different frequencies. So like
Exactly.
if you hear a really good song and you get goosebumps and you like resonate with that song, which is resonate's a frequency
Keyword.
thing. So it's like if you resonate with that song, it like makes you feel a certain way, and like that's the whole mood thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, does sound just ultimately control everything? Or I guess not sound, but like does frequency ultimately control everything? Because frequency, just like quantum mechanics, like we've probably not discovered or fully understand the depth of like frequencies themselves. Like how deep can they go? Or like, so yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the moon causes frequency on the water, so it could probably get pretty big.
So this is the other thing I wanted to pull up, and I'll also put this up on the screen for you guys so you can see and hear it. Let me get back over here. But if you're not following us on X, go follow us at ZaneTOCP and at SamTOCP. We'd appreciate it. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on there. This was something I saw the other day, and I instantly thought about some conversations that we had about sound, sonics, and cymatics, which is an interesting topic we discussed on an earlier episode. But this, I mean, I don't know if this dude like just figured this out just from his brain, or if he like got this from somewhere, did some research, but this is pretty incredible. This will start playing here. But
Did he make something?
yeah, he did. Well, this is inconvenient.
Maybe they took it down.
Nah. Technical difficulties. Okay. So he made this thing. It's literally just a tube, right?
Yeah.
And so he has like a small little mirror. All right, first of all, there's like a balloon that's sort of like tight around the end of the tube like a drum. And there's a little small mirror on the surface of that, the drum basically. And then he's got the stick coming out of it. And on the end of the stick is a laser pointer. Now, the laser pointer is pointed directly at the mirror, but the mirror is attached to the thing. So now this is a big tube, right? So this will vibrate when there's sound frequency going in there. That mirror will dance around with the reflection of the laser, projecting the laser into a visualizer like that. And it's like, I mean, that's frequency. It's like you see this like magnetic like force of sound, like just like we were saying, sound could levitate things or whatever. It's really interesting just when you start visualizing some of this stuff, you can see, especially if you could just play with that and like start putting different things in there, seeing what happens with that. It's like you'd start to catalog some of the differences between things.
But that's the whole point. Is like if you can catalog, it just becomes a whole other language too. Like it's almost like that's a deep thing. It's not even like a language. It's like a language.
Like a TED Talk.
It's like an Okay, this is gonna sound really weird.
Yeah.
It's an understanding of understanding. It's like,
is this like known unknowns and stuff?
No, so it's like I know the English language because I hear you speak it.
Right.
But if I understand the language that this is showing, I then understand how to understand it in English. So it's like like a double.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's just like if we could represent things to ourselves, like in a way, it's like if you project something, right? Like you can see finer details and all this stuff. So yeah, I don't really know what
it's almost like hieroglyphics. It's like understanding what something is showing you visually, but it's like those different visuals are their own language.
Yes.
And then you translate that language that you just saw. So it's like a language that you see without hearing, and then you translate that you didn't hear.
It's amazing. Look,
like that's
it's
crazy.
It's like, I don't care about sound of hippy dippy, but it's like the universe is like sort of just built one way, but in a number of ways. It's built one way, but in a number of ways. So like you'll see patterns repeated all over the place in different things, but the one place that it's like super clear is when you look at the spectrum of anything, any sort of frequency. Light, like, and it's all connected too. When it stops being like, light and color and stuff, it starts being sound. Or sorry, the other way around. But it's all connected through this frequency. So if you can't, that this is the beautiful thing, and this is my point, is that so we need these things to be able to look through something, some sort of lens to see something that we wouldn't have originally been able to see. But now that we see it, we can communicate to other people, right? I hate forgetting. Help me out here.
You're saying
okay, here's the beautiful thing is that there's a number of there's many ways that it's put. So if you can interpret it, it's all mathematics. It's all mathematics, which people would say is the language of the universe. It's supreme mathematics. But if you can understand it through sonics, through sound, it's there for you. If you can understand that visually through colors and light, that's there for you. But all of the same principles and all of the same things to be learned are in all of these different versions of it. And it's incredible. That's incredible to me.
Yeah.
That was long-winded. Sorry for forgetting my point.
No, you're good. But yeah, it's like that's a whole nother realm of like, I mean,
it's so cool. I'd love to, I don't know if you've ever played with a synthesizer.
Yeah.
Dude, it's the coolest shit, but the more that you learn how sound really works, like when you're making everything do everything.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, it's so like when you're just manipulating, like there's something crazy about that. And then it's like, it makes you realize how powerful sound is, and you notice all these little nuances. But
do you think there's a sound that you've never heard before?
absolutely.
Isn't that weird to think about? Like there's a sound. Do you think sound could be so powerful? Not sound. Oh, that's such a like a broad term.
Mhm.
But like, do you think frequent? I mean,
Words are words, man.
so it's almost like frequency. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Frequency is the not building block, but like it is
It's the force behind it's the assembler of the building blocks in a way, could be looked at. Just like cymatics, like all those little particles, but then you play the frequency and they snap into the shape.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of the conductor. It's the blueprint. That what you're kind of saying, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have this is why I wanted that. I was just struggling with how to say it, but I want to read something real quick. Hold on. Is the Wi-Fi not working?
Yeah, I saw some dude take a row of candles. There was maybe like 25 candles in a row, all lined up,
Mm-hmm.
and then he took a trumpet and just played it at
Oh,
the
yeah,
end,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you can just see the music through the. It's like that's dope.
Yeah. All right. So Genesis 1,
Okay, we're going deep here.
verse 3,
Okay.
right? So it says, and then God said. So the premise that I'm saying is like the creation of the world came through sound, right? Because it's like it's like everything we're talking about. That's not to use the word resonates with me, but like that's what makes sense. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's great. That's a valid point. And depending on which version you read there, a lot of times it'll say like, and the word was God, right? Or like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it says that. And so it's
in
really
John, yeah.
interesting. So it's a word is a sound for sure. It's a word is a sound.
It's like such a deeper
But-
meaning than like
and
it's like,
and the word was God. Not
Yeah.
God was the word. Well, you could look at it either way, but I'm not saying like the literal word was God, but rather God was the word or the sound, right? And a lot of people would maybe interpret it that way. But then you look at like people argue about the Big Bang and all this whatever. It's like that could be a huge sound or whatever. That could be the word or whatever it is, right? But even just going down to like people say, oh, you must spread the word of God or things like that. Well, it's like, well, if you really interpret it that way as it being sound, it's more of like songs, it's hymns, it's where all this like, the gospel music sort of comes from. It does resonate with that sector of it and tries to incorporate that thing. But, it's attached to the church with the preacher and a more literal understanding of things. And they're not so focused on just the sonics of it. What do angels do? They sing. You hear the trumpet sound in Revelation. Like there's so many sonic references that are very specific. And if you wanted to look at it like purely from that angle, like just say, we'll take one spectrum of frequency, sound, go read the Bible and try to interpret it that way. Take light, go do it that. Just like there's all those different things you could do it. And, and you could do that with other books too. I'm not just saying like, just the Bible you could do that with, but it's interesting that it's set up that way for sure.
Yeah, I thought that was like, again, not to use the word resonates, but like,
I mean, yeah,
isn't it interesting?
It fits.
Yeah,
it definitely is, dude. I love sound. It's one of my favorite like things,
and it's something that kind of like we were just looking at. There's so much untapped technology and ways, I guess, understanding. Right, not to go back to the whole understanding of understanding, but like, there's so many things that we don't know, and I think a lot of people, instead of digging like we dig in these conversations, they just say, that's it. I'm done thinking about it. This is it. Like,
it's easy.
Like, yeah, it's like the whole conspiracy theory thing. Like, oh, that's what happened. Cold case.
Well,
like,
a lot of people would say, "Oh, you guys are reaching." Like,
I mean,
for what? Like, what does it matter if we grab something? Does it matter if we don't? Like,
but that's science, isn't it?
Maybe try to stumble upon something that's interesting. Talk about that. Dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Not necessarily draw a final conclusion because we have to be right and present it to somebody. It's like
the Thomas Edison with the light bulb. Like, he found out 1,000 ways how not to make a light bulb.
Yeah,
and every single one of those was a fail. So it's like you have
but that
led to something. So it's like you have to have that layer of like, can we get down to the nitty gritty and try to piece anything, even saying some random thing that might pull in something, or it just keeps going and it just doesn't come back. But it's like you have to do that in order to get to.
And I'll be honest, like a lot of little things, it's like I'm just getting a chance to maybe like lay the groundwork for like a deeper idea that I'm not saying totally exists or whatever, but it's like some of the things we talk about, you'll just pull it up and it's like, hey, this is something interesting, but you can't go into the depths about it. We'll maybe like talk about, hey, what could be or whatever.
Yeah.
But we need to talk about that topic and just establish that first.
Yeah.
And maybe 6, 12, 15 other topics to really see the similarities between all these things. Pull it all together like in front of people. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a concise thing. We're going off top here. We're gonna figure stuff out. Yeah. But another fun thing though with the sound and the light is you can take a filter for light. Like if you have a flashlight, you can put like a mesh filter in front of it, and it'll block out the light. Like pretty much. What?
It's a polarizer.
A polarizer.
So polarized glasses. That's what they are. They're filters that are.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Are micro. Yeah.
Basically, it's weird how this works, but light, it's like the positioning of the holes in the filter, or however a lot of them are holes, at least in the mesh.
Yeah.
The positioning of it or the angle it is compared to the light determines how much light or which part of the spectrum gets blocked out. That's how they're able to, specifically get UV or whatever. Yeah. But you can turn it basically to where all the light is being blocked out. And so what's crazy is that now that all the light is being blocked, you can put another filter further down where the light would have been shining and turn it the other way and have light pass through where there's no light in the middle. Basically saying that there's information in shadow, in the invisible. Like this, I'll pull a video up right now. I swear to you this exists. It's amazing, right?
Wow.
That's light. Take sound. Yeah, you can filter sound. That's like any audio, producer, anybody like
it's a mix box.
It's super easy, right? If you've ever heard that underwater sound on a song,
sonar,
that's a low pass filter.
Yeah.
Right. But you can filter sound. And so those same principles probably apply to filtering sound too. And so a lot of the discoveries I think that people make, it's like you get to a certain point and it's like, oh, it seems like nothing works. Maybe you just need to do the magic thing to make the thing continue, and you just couldn't find the clue. You couldn't figure out or decipher the universe because you're not smart enough to really get there, right? Or you're just not going to try the right thing because you're stubborn and you just, you agree with mass opinion. But if you can do that sort of thing with light, you could do that sort of thing with sound. And like, that's a crazy thing. I don't know what that means. I'm not a scientist, right? But like, I know that's something, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was interesting too. Fascinating topics.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to leave off too, because that was like
a good 2 hours, I'd say.
Yeah, that was great.
All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. We appreciate you guys stopping by. If you would like to like and subscribe, that helps us out a bunch. We will see you guys next time.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.